Welcome everyone to another edition of Clay's Couch. This is your host Clay D, the one and only, coming at you the best way that I know how. And I am glad here tonight to have the wonderful, lovely local Durham, North Carolina resident, Miss Phyllis Coley with us here tonight, who is CEO of Spectacular Magazine. Thank you for being here tonight on the virtual couch, Miss Coley.
Thank you so much for having me, Clay.
My absolute pleasure, Miss Coley. Now, if you could kind of just tell for folks who may not know whether it's here in Durham or anywhere around or just in general, if you could just tell the audience what is Spectacular Magazine in general.
Well, Spectacular Magazine is North Carolina's premier Black magazine. I started the magazine in 2004. But when I started in 2004, it was started as Spectacular Entertainment Guide. Because see, we were in 2004, we were just in the beginning of the people moving in, the influx, folk coming here. So we did a feasibility study to say, well, what is it that people were looking for? What kind of information are people looking for? And we found that the main thing that came out of that is people wanted to know what is there to do. And so we started doing the entertainment guide, and I did that for about 2 years, but it was a struggle because now keep in mind that was before we had the Durham Performing Arts Center and all of those these entertainment venues that we have now.
Okay.
So that became a real task. And so in 2006, we changed it to Spectacular Magazine as a tabloid newspaper, but in a tabloid newspaper format, but still magazine news because it was still monthly. And we changed that in 2006 to Spectacular Magazine, and we started dealing with issues that affect people of color. So always a full service magazine, news, sports, entertainment, lifestyle, health and fitness. And we started doing that in 2006.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, what was the inspiration behind Spectacular Magazine for you in that regard? Just overall, obviously, it has evolved from what you had just described. But for you, Miss Chloe, what was the inspiration that made you want to make Spectacular Magazine what it is now today?
I felt that there was, at that point in 2004, 2006, was a void of positive Black news. Now, of course, you could shoot somebody and you made the front page.
Right,
But if you
absolutely.
did something wonderful, you're in the, section C, page 8, so, and I just felt there was a void. And I sought to fill that void.
Definitely, it's definitely good to hear because mass media does control a lot, and so I definitely do believe that having a magazine like Spectacular Magazine or any type of Black media is very crucial in controlling the narrative on how Black residents in any community is perceived,
Mhm.
especially. Uh, for the audience and even for my own self, Ms. Coley, what were you doing exactly prior to launching the magazine, and what roles were you occupying professionally out in the community? If you could just go into that a little bit.
Okay, so before I started my own magazine, I was contracted to start the Triangle Tribune. So I started the Triangle Tribune in 1998, into up and until that time, and then left there in 2002. Now I had another magazine in 2002 that
Oh,
didn't
okay.
work, but it taught me everything not to do. Okay, so I just want to tell people, it now expensive lesson, yes, but I learned everything not to do. And then before that, I had an event planning company, and I did North Carolina Central's homecoming parade. I had the contract for the Aggie Eagle Classic. So I was doing things like that before I started my own publication.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the things that you have learned from the previous magazine that you had created. What lessons were those, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, first of all, understanding distribution.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that the other thing that I learned was know how to do everything inside of that magazine. So whether that was layout, whether that was design, whether that was writing, whether that's editing, or whether that's getting in my car and distributing, you have to learn every piece and
That's
not
definitely
just, contract it out. And I think that that's the one thing that I learned.
wonderful. Definitely. Now, if you could just tell the audience what what impact do you believe or has been measured upon the city of Durham, or what do you feel the magazine, your platform itself, has done for the residents, African American community in Durham, or just in general? If you could just provide the benchmarks and the measurements of success and impact, if you could explain that it has had over here in Durham.
Okay. Well, first of all, we really sought to honor people in our community because, like we talked about, our whole mission was to highlight people. So, in addition to providing truthful and accurate information in a timely manner, we also sought to highlight and recognize those people in our community that were doing awesome things. So in 2010, we started doing the Spectacular Magazine Man of the Year. And so that was an honor. And we always said that even though Spectacular Magazine is handing you the award, you were selected by the committee, by the community, because the community nominated people. Now we did have a committee that would narrow down the nominations to 3 in each category. Sometimes we had so many nominations, we had to have 6, and we had to give 2 awards in a
Oh
category.
wow!
But then we put it out for vote. So it was a community vote. And see, we started doing that back in 2010. I mean, there's a lot of folk doing it now, but we
Yeah.
started doing that. And we were doing the Man of the Year. We started in 2010 doing the Man of the Year. And we started doing it in June because, I also do the Juneteenth celebration. And I felt that African American men were more adversely affected by slavery, so maybe so than women. I mean, that's how I felt at that time. And so I wanted to so I always, under Spectacular, in June, we did the positive, that was called our Positive Brothers issue. So we kind of expanded Positive Brothers to be the Spectacular Magazine Men of the Year. And we've done that somewhere around 2012 or so. The women were coming to me, what about us, right? And so then we
Right. Right.
started doing the Spectacular Magazine Women of the Year.
Uh huh.
Since we we went totally digital in 2017. In
Hmm.
2019, we started doing the Emerging Leaders of the Year because our numbers are skewing younger. And so we started doing, the Emerging Leader. So our categories changed some. So when we were doing, Man of the Year, Woman of the Year, we're doing activists, we're doing business development people, economic development people. For our Emerging Leaders, we do social media influencer, technology, and so it's just different categories. But that's the one thing that I think we made a difference. And then doing our events, the MLK Black History Month parade, and now that we've added a block party, and we also do our Juneteenth celebration. We've been doing Juneteenth for 19 years. So, and we'll talk about that. But when you ask about the impact, but I also tell people have said to me that the information that they get from Spectacular, they don't get anywhere else.
Wow. What, if you could just kind of summarize, what specifically don't they get anywhere else? I mean, obviously, there's so much content out there.
I don't know.
What?
This is what they're saying to us, but we strive. Maybe we tell the story of the underdog. Maybe we tell the story. Yes, now there is a lot of content. And
Yeah.
after the events of 2020, yes, there's a lot of people that have jumped on the bandwagon, but we were doing this, in 2004 and 2006.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we'll be right back, folks, after this momentary break, right here on Clay's Couch with our special guest, Miss Phyllis Coley of Spectacular Magazine, right after this. here. This is your host, Clay D, the one and only, coming at you the best way that I know how. And I'm right back here with my special guest, the wonderful Miss Phyllis Coley of Spectacular Magazine, based out of here in Durham, North Carolina. And thank you again for being here, Miss Coley. Now, to continue the conversation, as you were talking about that your magazine, Spectacular Magazine, has evolved over the last 15 plus years. And you specifically have mentioned that you have pivoted from a paper over to completely all digital. I would just like to piggyback off of that and ask, how was that pivoting initially? What I mean by that is, obviously, we've seen a lot of publications have issues of going from print to digital completely with maintaining its subscription rates and memberships and all of that. But when you made that shift to pivot, was it an easy transition, or did it take some growing pains as far as retaining some of your avid readers and even bringing on new ones?
Okay, when we knew in 2016 we were making that change in 2017. We started collect our distribution method was we always distributed to African American churches,
Hmm.
and our publication was always free. See, that was the one thing when you talked about what I learned from having the other publication.
Yeah.
What I learned was, and the people who are struggling, I think, and what I went to Atlanta, I went to places to meet with folk who said to me, if your publication is free, then and I could go into the business model of why free
Yeah.
works, but
Yeah.
if by the publication being free, so I did not have to worry about the subscription rates. We're advertiser driven, and so that is one of the things that made I think I made our pivot easier from the a subscriber's point standpoint or so forth. Now, learning things like clicks per minute and all these other kind of things. Okay, yeah, what and SEO and
Yeah.
getting an SEO ranking. Yes, that was truly a learning experience.
I
We
certainly.
also then we also went through those growing pains, which I mean I'm not complaining about, but we had a shared server, the people that were hosting our website, and our website kept crashing because we were getting so much traffic. So now that we've had to continuously upgrade on our server, which has been a great problem to have. I'm not complaining.
Got it. And one of the things with Cody that I definitely will credit and give give all kudos to you is there's so many individuals who I come across with out here in Durham and in the community who
Mhm.
say I have contributed to Spectacular Magazine. I've written for them, and I hear a lot of praises sung about you all the time. And I really think that just from what you're saying here, that the way you've been able to not just pivot, but allow a new generation of readers and in essence and supporters to really support the magazine overall. I think I personally believe, and you can agree to disagree, I think a lot of the issues of a lot of publications or any content platform, especially if it's in the print side or especially in the areas of black media specifically.
Mhm.
Now, there has been a decline in black media, obviously, over time, precipitously. And I do think that a lot of that is because of that lack to pivot and that lack of not allowing, or that lack of not allowing a younger generation, not even necessarily younger, but those who are more tech savvy or more social media or new media driven or savvy to take over and obviously incorporate new methods and strategies to get new readers and while even at the same time retaining the previous membership and such. Do you agree with that sentiment or
I
statement?
totally agree. First of all, you need to know that my son is my business partner, and I serve as CEO and publisher. And he was just made in August made the president of the company because that's a part of my succession plan. And so there was always, so when you talk about, you mentioned, see, a key thing that I heard you say was about
Yes,
with
ma'am.
Black businesses and not being able to pivot. I think that so many times there's no succession plan, and then the publisher just dies and the paper dies. So by having a plan, and that's how we were able to move it. But also the fact that he writes code and built the website and maintains the
Yeah.
website and is a sportsman, and all. So that kind of helps a whole lot. But I've always, tried to keep up with what was current,
Yeah.
and and to make those adjustments. And all the way through my life I've done that, so this was not anything different. But what we have, let me tell you what we've been able to do. So we have an e-newsletter that goes out every other day. So those email addresses that I told you that we collected when I knew that we were going to go digital. So we have an e-newsletter. So we're publishing, and I have a social media team, so they're posting things to social media. But we do an e-newsletter that goes out to these email addresses from those people that we got those email addresses from the church who may be 45 and over. So we put all the stories that got posted onto social media into the e-newsletter. We sell advertisement in that. I just need to mention that. And then that goes into the e-newsletter, and then that goes to those people. So for those folk who are not on social media all day, every day, some of them don't even have a social media account. Our news comes to their website. Comes to directly to their email. So that's how we've been able to build a new audience and maintain our old audience.
Wow, that's real good. Has your team considered TikTok yet? As far
Yes,
as
yes,
oh, really?
we're doing TikTok, and I'm slowly learning it.
You're doing better than me, because I haven't even touched it yet. It's for the audience.
Listen, I haven't. I have downloaded the app. That's as far as I've gotten.
Yeah.
Okay.
You beat me to that. I don't even think I have it downloaded yet.
Yes.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. And I would just like to ask, just in general, and you've mentioned this as far as having a succession plan, and you mentioned that your son is essentially part of your staff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that you're in good hands with your staff going forward? What I mean by that is not necessarily is there a lack of trust, but do you feel as though that once you completely hand everything over, assuming that's the path that you, at least that's what you have in mind, eventually down the road, that the magazine can keep evolving with the changing times? Is I don't even want to use the word trust. I'm sure you trust, but do you see it continuing to have the goals that you had set out for the magazine in general, to serve the community?
Well, first of all, because he grew up in it. But let me tell you, first and foremost, he asked me for this. He asked me to allow him to take the magazine to the next level. I didn't ask him. So that's why I'm that confident.
That's wonderful to hear. That's excellent. And just given that, what would you say, just collectively, are the goals for Spectacular just going forward? I mean, not just in 2022, but just beyond even. What
Okay,
are the
so short term is to totally be saturated so that anybody that's in this state knows us. So that's first. And then of course to go national and to be national. But let me just say this, that we are fluid enough that if we need to pivot again, we can.
That's definitely good to hear, for sure. Yeah, pivoting is the way anyone can survive out there, for sure.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm confident that it will go on. And then as far as that, yes, do we want to build, we want to increase our staff, and those kinds of things. But that's but we're doing it systematically. We got the Raleigh, Durham, we got Greensboro. We're concentrating now down east and Charlotte strong. I mean, we were always doing some things, but we've put concentration where we have a writer in those cities.
Oh, okay.
So that's what and that's, so it's we'll keep growing. We have a team in Atlanta, so we can cover entertainment thing, and so forth. So we're building that way.
Wonderful. We'll certainly elaborate on that more right after this break. Here on Clay's Couch with the wonderful Miss Phyllis Coley of Spectacular Magazine. Welcome back to Clay's Couch here. This is your host, Clay D, the one and only, coming at you the best way that I know how. And I am right back here with the wonderful Miss Phyllis Coley of Spectacular Magazine, based out of right here where I am in Durham, North Carolina. Now, just to continue the conversation, Miss Coley, you have mentioned that you have writers and essentially staff spread out, not just here in the Raleigh Durham area, but in Greensboro, down east over here in North Carolina, and even I heard you say Atlanta. That's very
Yes,
impressive. Is
yes.
the plan to have footprints all throughout the country? Because you did mention national. So I'm wanting to know: are you looking to have the magazine take more take more real estates everywhere in every corner?
Yes, I mean that is the plan, and that's under Lawrence's guidance and leadership, and I'm confident that that's where it will go.
Oh, okay, that is excellent to hear. It seems like you have a lot of supporters out there who are certainly are willing to step up and write, and that everything is, as you mentioned, advertised driven and consumer driven, and so therefore it's almost naturally spurring this grassroots moment, grassroots movement of individuals who want to certainly write. I definitely am very impressed by that for sure. I certainly would love to see and hope that your magazine can continue to spread all over the country, sure, even places like New York, for instance, or Los Angeles, Chicago.
From your mouth to God's ears, okay?
Oh, glad to hear about that. But yes, but just given that, we know that the MLK parade and block party is coming up almost rather quickly now in April. Now, obviously, COVID and the weather had obviously canceled and postponed over to that. If you could just tell just the viewing and listening audience of what the MLK parade and block party is going to consist of.
Yes. So the 19th annual North Carolina MLK Black History Month Parade and Block Party is now scheduled for April the 9th. The block party is on Burlington Avenue. The parade itself is on Fayetteville Street. We start at White Rock Church, and we end at North Carolina Central University. That route was chosen by design because when Martin Luther King spoke in Durham, he spoke at White Rock
Oh,
and he
really?
spoke at North Carolina Central. And so that route is by design. The parade is at 12 noon. And then there is a block party from 11 to 4 that's on Burlington Avenue, right there right off of Fayetteville Street. And there's going to be, of course, in the parade is the parade. I must say, and I am so honored to have our new Durham Mayor Elaine O'Neill, who is making history as the first African American
Yep.
female mayor. And so we're going to recognize her, and she's our grand marshal. The parade will have bands and floats and step teams and dance teams and beautiful cars and all kinds of things. So, I mean, it's just a day to come out. And then there's the block party, which there'll be a DJ and food trucks and vendors and exhibitors and health related things. If they are still giving out COVID tests at that point, we will have someone there that's going to be giving out COVID tests. When the parade was scheduled for February, we were actually going to have folk who were going to walk through the parade and pass out COVID test.
Oh, wow.
So we will see what else. So that's what that is. It's all about. It's just a day to come out and have fun. It's that day, Clay, that you can come out and people, and you're there, and it's people from all walks of life, all economic levels, all educational levels, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
we're
definitely.
just all there together having fun. And you don't know what this person has in their pocket or where they're from or anything. Um, but we get and a lot of people just walk the whole route and back and forth up the street. And people say oh man, it's like homecoming because they're seeing so many people they haven't seen. We have organizations and churches that bring bus loads. Well, we did, I'm talking pre-COVID.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah,
I'm still
absolutely.
expecting kind of, a lot of that same thing. That's
Okay.
why we opted to go ahead and have it in April. Hope, the weather should be a little bit warmer. We're going to
Yeah.
be outside. We did have one component that was inside the event that we've scratched, but the parade and block party will still happen.
Got it. And what date in April again? Just for anyone who's local and maybe curious.
I'm sorry, what did you say? What's the
What
date?
date in April? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's April the 9th.
April the 9th. All
Mm-hmm.
right. You heard it here
Mm-hmm.
first, folks. And so you mentioned that Martin Luther King came to Durham. If you could
Yes.
just, what exactly was that, just for those who are curious?
Now, and I think it was 1956.
Okay.
But don't hold me to that one, but I think that was the year. And actually he stayed at Mickey Mashaw's house when he came, and with his family, with the Mashaw family, is my
Oh, okay.
understanding. And actually, the picture that I have of him leaving McClendon, the gym, the arena
Uh-huh.
there, is that was provided to me by Mr. Mashaw.
Okay. Wonderful. That's definitely some good history. I love to see those. Love to see that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So now, just just given that and all the other events that you previously have talked about going forward for the rest of the year, if you could just provide just some details on each of those that are coming up right after the MLK events.
Okay, so the biggest thing that we do, I am the North Carolina Juneteenth State Director under the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation.
Oh
So
wow.
we are doing things all year. So the theme for this year is our founding fathers, the United States Colored Troops, and we're honoring the colored troop. Um, and in North Carolina, um, there were 4 different regiments of colored troops, and they actually went to Galveston. And the colored troops that was recognized here, that was organized here, was the commander of the United States Colored Troop was Harriet Beecher Stowe's brother. And she actually came to North Carolina. This was in New Bern. And so there's all of his history is available, but we're doing things all year as we recognize the United States Colored Troops. Actually, next weekend, February, and let me just not say next weekend, on February 19th, there will be an unveiling of the United States Colored Troop sculpture in Wilmington. That sculpture was designed by Stephen Hayes, who was a Durham native and Durham resident. You know, he does all this magnificent real lifestyle sculpturing. So that's going to happen on February 19th in Wilmington. The 35th Regiment will be there. They're reenactors, and so they will be reenacting that. They will also be at our Juneteenth celebration this year, which will take place on June 18th. And it goes from 1 to 10. But and so all during the year. But Clay, what I really want to talk about is, the order that the enslaved people received that told them that they was free was General Order Number 3, which was written by General Granger.
Okay.
Well, we've been told, and until now, that we had some research, we have an education committee.
Right.
When Granger got to Galveston, he did not get off the ship. He had 1,800 troops with him. The troops got off. The
Wow.
United States Colored Troops met them there. They posted that General Order Number 3 on the door of the Reedy Chapel Church in Galveston. It was the pastor of that church that told the people that they were free. And when our education committee and when those people started saying that and teaching us about what they have had uncovered, that makes so much more sense that the pastor of the church told the people, more so as someone who looked like them told them they were free, than this general. Okay. And so what we're asking all religious leaders of all denominations on Juneteenth, on June the 19th, to post General Order 3 on the doors of their houses of worship, churches, synagogues, mosques. And I'm taking it a step further. If you're having wherever you have church, so if that's Facebook, YouTube, a website, post it there.
Zoom, yeah.
The Zoom, wherever, it's symbolic.
Right.
But we want this happening. Then on that Monday, the 20th, there will be a parade in Washington, D.C. that will honor the United States Colored Troop They will honor the women who travel with the United States Colored Troops. We will be honoring the Buffalo Soldiers and all military vets on the 20th. That's a Monday. But that's going to be a parade in Washington, D.C.
Okay, definitely will need to check all of those out. Well,
Yeah,
we'll
so as
definitely
far as the man of the year and the woman of the year, emerging leader that we talked about, we have not scheduled those for this year, just because of the situation, and we're just not real sure about scheduling an inside event right now.
right, gotcha. Okay, well, we'll definitely pick up this conversation on the other side right after this quick break here on Clay's Couch. Welcome back to Clay's Couch here. This is your host, Clay D, the one and only, coming at you the best way I know how. And we'll continue our conversation here with the wonderful Miss Phyllis Coley, CEO and founder of Spectacular Magazine here. Now, it's been great talk with you so far this evening, Miss Coley. I would just like to ask you, just overall, is there best interview that you've had, one in particular that comes to mind that sticks out that you really just felt good about or were impressed by?
You mean an interview? You said an interview?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so recently, last year, the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services asked me to be the first host when they were kicking off a fireside chat. And so my interview was with Dr. Mandy Cohen and Dr. William Barber.
Okay.
And so that at that time, it was so timely because we were talking COVID and COVID vaccines and
Yes.
the faith community and that kind of stuff. So that was just so very, very important. And just throughout the years, I've just had an opportunity to sit down with some wonderful people. So I can't really, but I guess that's the one that just was one of the latest ones that I've done. So that really stood out. And I was really honored that they would call me and they, to kick off their series.
Right. That definitely sounds very good. Uh, is there a particular project that you've done over time, over these last 15 plus years, that stands out to you the most, or even just a few? Not necessarily an interview, but an event or
Oh,
just any type of project or assignment in that regard.
when I was doing Aggie Eagle. I mean, I had nothing to do with the game, but I handled all of the events and the tailgating and the college fair and the other thing, and that was so wonderful. I did that for three. I had the contract for 3 years when they were doing it at Carter Finley Stadium. And I really, really enjoyed that because it was huge and I met so many people. I got to work with, at that time, North Carolina Central and A&T were in the CIAA, and I got to work with all the CIAA schools, all the HBCUs, and so it was, it was just a wonderful experience. So I really, really enjoyed that. Clay, if I may
Yes,
I go
ma'am.
back to Juneteenth for a minute?
Definitely, by all
Okay.
means. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I mentioned our education committee, and
Mm-hmm.
our education committee consists of some heavyweight scholars. There's people like Calvin Pearson. Calvin Pearson is the founder of the 1619 project.
Okay.
Project. Okay, he did the research. Hannah Nicole Jones wrote about it. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have people like that. We have people the lady who's the head of the Mississippi Art Museum. So they have done some really, really heavy research. And they have put together what they're calling Juneteenth 101, which is a downloadable document and it covers from June 19th of 1862 to June 19th of 1866, and it covers the history. And I don't want to say it's a lesson plan, but it is certainly a guide that you can use for teaching, and that is available for download. And I just really did not want to leave here without letting people know, especially your audience who are people that read and want information, that information is out there and available to them.
Wow, certainly. That's certainly some good piece of information there. I would just like to ask in that regard, just going forward with Spectacular Magazine and all,
Mhm.
would you like for it to be? I know you touched on this earlier, but would you like for it to remain more community based driven, or would you be okay if it went more, for lack of better words, entertainment based, meaning kind of modeling other types of content out there, like on social media, where it's becoming more entertainment based? Or would you just like for it ideally to stay more community and educational based? If that makes any
Okay,
sense
so
to you.
we do a lot of entertainment right now. I
Hmm.
mean, we're covering quite a bit, of entertainment. That's the reason I had to get me a team in Atlanta, because so much is being produced. Black entertainment is being produced in Atlanta. But we have become screeners. So we are screeners with BET, with Paramount, with, you know, oh God, it's a lot. So we're so
Hmm.
Lifetime. Lifetime sends us the movies before we watch them
Oh
before
wow!
they air, and we're able to write the review.
Oh
And
wow!
so we're already doing that. And when you ask me, am I going to go totally to that? No, because our people still, some folk don't know what they don't know, and they don't know that they need that. There's other information other than what somebody wore on the red carpet. And so we will continue to have that information, because what we find is that different things appeal to different people, and we post different things on different social medias based on the content. So when there's news and there's information, and we put that on the platforms where people tend to where they're going to click on the link and go over and read that. When people are looking for the quick headline, then we'll do that as well. But no, so it may go to that, and we're really much, much stronger now with in our sports. But we will always, I think, now I may be gone by then, but I think that our plan right now is that we will always continue to have information and inform people, and not just always like, what movie is coming out.
Right. So educating, entertaining, informing, and inspiring. Two
Correct.
E's, two
You're
E's,
right.
and two
That's right.
I's.
That's right. That's right. That's
That's
right.
very
And we try to
good.
do that. Hmm.
For sure. Now, you mentioned about getting some screeners and all of that. Have you all been able to get press passes or even quote unquote red carpet passes to major events,
Yeah,
concerts,
well, I mean,
festivals?
we were at the premiere for Power Ghost. We were at
Oh
my folks were
wow!
backstage with um
Oh wow!
50 Cent. I'm sorry, I had
Really?
to think about it. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
so yeah, so we do all of those kinds of things. Check out our YouTube page, and we just did something with IMDb because they had some kind of basketball, and these people
Really?
kill me that they don't that I can't remember. But yeah, so that's why we have the people to cover the red carpet things in Atlanta, and we have been really been have worked it to get yes. So yeah, so we're already doing that. And then as far as sports, we're pretty much seasonal with most of the teams here. So we're right there. You know, we have a and I'm really proud of this because our name is
Uh-huh.
on a seat at the table.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
I seen it.
at games and so forth. So yeah, we've been able to do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's excellent. I've seen them too, but I've been at Central Games. I've seen Spectacular Magazine, so the footprint's there.
Yes,
It's present for sure. Okay,
yes.
folks, we'll be right back to conclude this episode of Clay's Couch with this Phyllis Coley right here on Clay's Couch in just a moment. Welcome back. Welcome back to Clay's Couch here. This is your host, Clay, the one and only, coming at you the best way that I know how. And we're concluding our chat here tonight with the wonderful Miss Phyllis Coley of Spectacular Magazine. And thank you for this talk this evening, Miss Coley. Now, I do have some questions here before
May
we
I say
close out.
one thing though, that because they're
Definitely.
going to kill me if I don't say this. You ask us, did we get passes to major events?
Mm-hmm.
We
I
were
did, yeah.
approved. We were approved by for the Super Bowl. We were approved last year and this year, and
Oh,
so,
okay.
and I just, I got to tell you that, and that's based on the strength of our sports department. So, to be approved for that. Now we're going to do it virtually, but that means they still have access to all kind of backstage, virtual backstage things and so forth, but they still don't approve everybody. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
this is a big thing for us.
Okay, wonderful. Now, just given that kind of almost somewhat answers my next question. But in addition, do you think, is there a dream project or assignment that you all could do that just comes to mind? Now, I guess Super kind of answers that in some regards, but is there anything that would just, at least in your mind, be like, you know what, if we could have that, that would just be golden?
Um,
That could be an interview,
we
that could be an assignment, or yeah.
that would be to be on the red carpet for like the BET Soul Train Awards. We have been approved virtually, but we've not been approved to be to be in person. So that is the one that's something that I would like to do, and I really would have loved to have been there this past year when they did it from the Apollo. But that's one of the things that I personally would like to see us do. And I'd like to
Okay.
get an interview with Tyler Perry.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That definitely answers that. Now, obviously, it's Spectacular Magazine has had and is having and will continue to have, I'm confident saying, I'm sure you're confident saying, a major impact on our communities, especially the African American or brown communities in that regard. Do you feel as though that the magazine, we talked about this earlier with impact, do you think, let's just say the instances where the stakes are really high, like major presidential election or local elections, that Spectacular Magazine maybe has had or made a difference with just maybe getting a few more extra voters out there, increasing turnout amongst young people or persons of color? Do you feel that it had any impact on local turnout in any elections during,
Yes, I do.
obviously, your time?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I know that. And we've seen that, we've seen it make a difference because based on what we've seen and what we do this year for this election for the primary, Spectacular Magazine will be endorsing. So this year we also we look, we've had our questionnaire ready to go since January to get out to the candidates, but then of course all the things happen with the gerrymandering and so forth. But yeah, so this year, so I have assembled a political team. We have, and even that one is coming out of Elon, where they do the polling. So we'll be able to report directly on a lot of the polling and things that are happening that they're doing there. So yeah, so we will definitely, there is a plan to be front and center and to make a difference in this election coming up,
Great,
whenever it is.
great. Definitely. Now, do you also feel as though that maybe your magazine has had an impact with more COVID vaccination rates by any chance, for instance?
We certainly have pushed it and promoted and wrote about it and put out true information and talked to as many people as we could about it. Um, so it's out there, we put it out there. So I hope that it has made a difference. And like I said, if we had had the parade on February 5th, we were going to have people walking down the street handing out COVID tests.
Right. Okay. Okay. Now, you mentioned your staff being very supportive and very, very hardworking. How big is your staff overall? If you can just explain that.
We have our team that I prefer to call them team than staff,
Right.
is it fluctuates and it depends on the season. So now because we're in strong basketball, we probably have 6 people over on our sports side. On the news side, right now it's 5. And our social media is made up of is 3 people on our social media team right now. I am so proud that one member of our social media team, who was a student at NC State, based on what she did with us, just got a job with Microsoft Lenovo, and she doesn't graduate till May, and she started the job the 1st of February. The job will be in Chicago, but they're allowing her to work remotely. And she has given us an affidavit to say, based on what she did, because the people told her, based on what you did is spectacular, it's why we're interested in. So
Wow.
that's the kind of thing, that's the better success story for me, Clay, that the folk that I've worked with and that have worked under me have gone on to do some awesome things. I have a gentleman who had never picked up a camera who came with us, who is now with USA Today, and he also has a film in the Atlanta Black Film Festival, who said he never would have picked up a camera if we had not encouraged him. Though that's the kind of success stories that I want to talk. You know what I mean? That I want to make. That's the impact. That's the impact.
Okay, okay. So there's a lot of good alumni, if you want to call them that, from
Yes,
Spectacular
yes.
Magazine as well.
Oh yeah, our circle is wide and
That's
far.
good.
But it has, but it, you know what? Here's a good thing, Clay. I've been in doing this long enough that folk who were with started and with me with in '06 and '08 are now in major positions. And I still maintain that good relationship. So I can call them up and say, you know what and they actually will take my call because I've built up these relationships over the years. And I
Wow.
never have treated, even though if they were interns or whatever, we've never,
Wow.
within our culture, the one thing is that we never do is treat people like
Right.
they're team members. That's why we call everybody team members,
Right.
so that we're all here together.
That's really good. That's excellent to hear. I know it must make you very proud with
It
everyone. This
does.
goes on to do bigger and better things for sure.
Yes.
Now we're in our final few moments here. If you could just tell the audience members what's how they could get in touch with you, stay in touch with you, follow the magazine and any upcoming events or any projects coming up.
Yes. So they can certainly go to our website, which is spectacularmag.com. All of our social media is Spectacular Mag, except Facebook, where it's Spectacular Magazine. No, Facebook is so, but everything else is right is Spectacular Mag. We make it easy. We don't have different names on different platforms.
Yeah.
It's everything across across the board, and of course our website. But you can always call me. I call our office at 919-916-1640.
Wonderful. Love the old school. Love
Yeah,
the
I'm
old
like, you can
fashioned.
always call. You can call me.
I
Okay.
know. I love that. Love when the guests get the phone numbers for sure, because nobody would touch that. That's good. That's good. But anyway, here, I think that does it for this evening, Miss Coley. Thank you very much for your time and you sharing this space with me, this virtual space with me this past hour. And you always have support for me, and we will love to Clay's Couch. We'll love to be with Spectacular Magazine any capacity that it can going forward. And you
And
definitely
I
know how to reach
welcome that.
us.
I welcome that. We have a big tent, and we welcome everybody into the tent. Come on.
Okay.
We're right there.
Okay. I will hold you to that. But but in addition to that, it was great having you again here, Miss Coley, and that pretty much will do it for now. And I will let you have your evening back. Thank you again for coming aboard.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Clay. I appreciate this. You don't understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Coley, for joining. I appreciate you as well, and thank you for coming on the virtual couch tonight. Hope maybe next time we could do it in person as well,
Yeah.
for
Let's
sure.
go.
All right, we'll definitely make it happen for sure. But all right then, for everyone, thank you for tuning in to Clay's Couch tonight. You could follow me on Instagram, as you can see on the screen there, at C D'Souza 39, on LinkedIn, YouTube under my name, and Facebook, Clay D'Souza, as it is written, and on Twitter at C D'Souza 39. We will be right back here next week as well. Same time, same place, and just be on the lookout for guest information that will be advertised on all these platforms here. But that will do it for tonight here on the virtual Clay's Couch. We're going to be in person soon enough, folks. So, in case you're wondering, and in the coming weeks, we will be having much more fun and exciting topics and content. We've been doing our traditional interviews. I know we started out the show with doing a lot of commentary. Due to some feedback, I will bring some commentary back. I will even include some commentary, such as show reviews, entertainment show reviews, like reviewing the latest episode of Power or Married at First Sight or any good thing on Netflix or that's and the movies are streaming right now with a future co-host that's yet to be announced on that. We'll be doing some collaborations and some on-site shows as well in person in New York, DC, Atlanta, Myrtle Beach, wherever. So all that is to come. So we have a lot more fun things planned, and we'll shake things up here on Clay's Couch and have more commentary on current events like sports politics in addition to entertainment as well. And we'll even have some virtual virtual events such as virtual fundraisers coming up, but just stay tuned for that. Like I said, I will keep things interesting, and we're going to have definitely a diversity of guests coming on all throughout the week from different walks of life, different categories, projecting to different audiences. That's the whole idea of Clay Scouts. It's a free form show. So while you might have a consistent theme over a period of a month or two, but the idea is to change and evolve at any given time, any week. So I definitely like to keep flexible. Well, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Look forward to staying in touch.